very interesting to note that the times that God calls upon his people to be still are those times when the prevailing circumstances are suggesting otherwise. They're suggesting run, fight. But God would say, be still and know that I am the Lord. My name is Kuchio from CITAM ChurchOnline. I invite you to join us on this conversation as we talk about fret not, for we have a revelation. Fret not, for we have a revelation. Now, I remember 3 occasions in Scripture when God called upon his people to be still in the face of a very challenging situation. The first one that comes to mind is Psalm 46, verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. When you read Psalm 46, the psalmist paints a very tumultuous picture of the earth being removed, of chaos and confusion. But he wraps up by calling on his listeners to be still, to be still. And you wonder, why would God expect us to be still in the midst of a tumultuous time and season? Another time where God calls upon his people to be still is when the children of Israel have been powerfully delivered out of captivity in Egypt. And they have made their exit out of Egypt. But the Bible does tell us in the book of Exodus that Pharaoh had a change of heart. And he decided to run and pursue the Israelites. So he rallied his best chariots and fighters in hot pursuit and sent them in hot pursuit after the Israelites. And when the Israelites looked behind and they could see the armies of Egypt in hot pursuit after them, they looked before them and they saw the Red Sea, and they looked beside them and they saw this vast jungle. They found themselves caught between a rock and a hard surface. They were simply cornered. And they began to cry out to Moses, and they began grumbling, complaining. Moses, why did you have to trick us? We were better off as slaves as we slogged it out, serving under the various taskmasters. We were better off. Why did you have to trick us to bring us to die a very shameful death out here in the desert? Moses turned to God, and God spoke to Moses. And Moses turns back to the children of Israel and tells them, be still. Now, the prevailing circumstance at that point in time did not suggest any peace or any tranquility whatsoever. They were simply cornered. But God speaks to the children of Israel and tells them, be still. The armies that you see today, you'll see them no more forever. Another experience that where God asks his children to be still is in 2 Chronicles chapter 20. King Jehoshaphat, the godly king from Judah, has been invaded by a vast army. A coalition of armies has come against the children of Israel. And King Jehoshaphat's heart and that of the Israelites begins to melt in fear. But God speaks through the prophet, and he tells the king, you will not need to fight this battle. Only be still. How can you possibly be still in the face of an invasion by a coalition of an army? And the Bible describes them a vast army. But God still asked Jehoshaphat to be still. So why would God ask anyone? Why would God ask us to be still in the face of trouble and confusion? It's because he knows that you and I are human beings. If we do not calm down, we will make irrational decisions, irrational choices. Man is known to make some of the most irrational decisions in the face of trouble. But God would have you calm down because He knows you. But secondly, He is in charge. God does not abdicate responsibility in the face of trouble and chaos. He does not cease to be God. He does not go on a holiday. He is still on His throne. So when God asks you to be still, He's simply telling you, I am in charge of this situation. I am in charge of this difficulty. I'm in charge of this uncertain season. So I'm here to encourage you. Be still because God knows that you and I, if we are not still, if we are not calm in the face of trouble and tribulations, we are bound to make some of the most regrettable, some of the most irrational decisions. That's why God will have you be still. But secondly, God is God. He is telling us, I am in charge of this situation. I have not abdicated my throne. I have not gone on holiday. I am in charge of this situation. That is why God will have you be still. You see, the psalmist says, be still and know that I am God. The other reason why God would have you be still is because He wants to reveal Himself. God will reveal Himself to us when we are still and calm. He revealed Himself to the children of Israel by the Red Sea. How did He do it? He allowed Moses to part the Red Sea with a rod. And the children of Israel walked through the Red Sea on dry ground. Now, some people have argued that this was not any form of a miracle, that there were winds that were known to blow on the Red Sea, and from time to time, the Red Sea would be parted. So there was no spectacular miracle on account of Moses' staff. Okay, let's assume that that is true. If there was no miracle that caused about 2 million people to cross the entire Red Sea, how is it that the same Red Sea swallowed people in chariots and horses? Because after the children of Israel had crossed through the Red Sea on dry ground, God told Moses, stretch forth your rod once again. And He stretched it forth. And the Red Sea swallowed an entire army. They drowned in this entire army, in this entire sea. Why is it that the same waters that the children of Israel walked through on dry ground are the same waters that swallowed an entire army? It was not just sheer luck. God revealed Himself as deliverer in Exodus. What about King Jehoshaphat? God caused this vast army to begin to fight against themselves. How did it happen? God told Jehoshaphat to take his place at the battlefront. And King Jehoshaphat mobilized a band. Now, it does not make sense to go to war. On one end, you have an army ready to fight, and on one end, you have an army with a band. That picture does not quite make some sense. But you know what? God must have known that King Jehoshaphat and the armies of Israel were capable of making some irrational decisions. And that is why He asked them to be still. God indeed revealed Himself because He caused this vast army to be confused. He threw them into confusion, and they began fighting amongst themselves, and they destroyed themselves. Israel did not have to fight in this battle. God actually fought for them. He revealed Himself once again as the deliverer, but they had to be still. What about in Psalm 46? The Bible does tell us in Psalm 46, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. When you and I are still, God will reveal himself not just to you as an individual. He will reveal himself to you as a family, to the nation, and then to the entire globe. I believe that the crisis we are faced with at the moment is but an opportunity for God to reveal himself as deliverer, as healer, as the Lord of hosts. God is in charge of this universe. Man is not in charge of this universe. The Chinese are not in charge. The Americans are not in charge. The Brits are not in charge. The Africans are not in charge. No single human being is in charge of the universe. God is in charge of the universe. And he would have you fret not, because he wants to reveal himself. Fret not, for we have a revelation. When that revelation is God, you and I can sit back and wait for the movie to end. You and I can sit back and wait for the dust to settle when that revelation is God. And my prayer is that you and I will sit back and allow God to reveal himself. Once again, I am persuaded that our world will emerge wiser, our world will emerge stronger, our world will emerge more compassionate, our world will emerge more sensitive to the needs and to the plight of those who are disadvantaged after this dust of the corona has settled. But you know what? Fret not, for we have a revelation. And I pray that that revelation is God, because when God is your revelation, you can face life confidently knowing the dust will ultimately settle. The Lord bless you richly. My name is Patrick Kuchio from CITAM Church Online. Please engage us on our social media platforms below to let us know how this message has impacted you. Once again, God bless you richly. My name is Patrick Kuchio from CITAM Church Online.